All right, we're live again in the studio. TJ's still with me. We'll go ahead and bring TJ back up. He's been able to watch while I haven't been able to watch. I'm trying to make sure our audio is right. They're currently disagreeing with the bishop. Ooh, they got a person from Slovakia talking.
You get the audio figured out? I'm not hearing anything.
Sound is coming through. I think everything looks how it should. This is the real fun part where everybody does elections. So briefly, and I'll have TJ report, but this is what the document looks like that has all the nominations on it. And they have all these hundreds of names to consider, clergy and laity, for every connectional commission. I'm watching Bishop Jones as he okay, they're holding a vote again. Oh, and he's getting applause for that. Now a point of order, interrupting the bishop.
Push.
Chris Gadledge from Great Lakes. So they're still trying to figure out how they're going to display the votes. So there's anxiety about revealing the votes before they're final. It's a complicated voting process. There seems to be a good deal of confusion about you can tell John Wesley Johanna's real engaged right now.
This is a very engaging deliberation.
I've never enjoyed the voting process.
I meant that sarcastically. This is very boring. Necessary, but boring.
Yeah, you got to figure out how to put people on these boards. They're trying to have Bishop Jones they're trying to get more information before they take their vote, and it's just not available. Bishop Jones is being really patient. I would have already thrown up my hands and said, y'all do it yourself. Lamar looks cool as a cucumber over there. I think John Wesley's boredom is indicative that he trusts that it's in good hands. He's doing something. Now he's turning around and paying attention. If y'all haven't been watching, they had some kind of drama on the stage about 10 minutes ago where there was like broken glass, and Scott Jones said, "We're not doing this on a raised platform next time." I forgot to switch the chat. I see we got Jennifer Groff with us. She says the voting is painful so far. And this is why Rick just wanted to bypass individual votes. I didn't realize that Rick just wanted to bypass individual votes. He's just there to pray when asked. Okay. You're talking about John Wesley Johanna, probably. Yeah. We've got 10 other people with us right now. If y'all want to let us know who you are and where you're from and who your favorite candidate is that's getting voted on today, or maybe your favorite connectional commission council and what you're excited about. I'll show you my screen again. I kind of want to look at this some more. What do the stars mean next to the names?
What stars are you seeing?
There's one next to Clark Atkins, one next to Brad DeHaven, Virgilio.
I think those are the recommendations by the TLC.
Oh.
I could be wrong on that, but indicates persons recommended by the nominations committee.
Apparently the screens changed when they shouldn't have. Nobody is alleging that anything dishonest is happening. Bishop Jones is saying they're having some software issues. They're going to take a 10-minute break. Okay, that'll be fine, and we're going to have TJ report on what I missed. So I'll highlight some comments. Tim's with us again. Gabe says, I wish I could hear them and you. Yeah, me too. That would have been cool. Maybe in 2026. Who knows?
So, just complain to the people in charge.
Yeah, for some reason I can never remember the name of the new chief connectional officer, chief operations officer. What is his name?
You're asking the wrong person. I don't remember.
He's Keith Boyette's replacement, and by all accounts, he's a fantastic guy. But it's really, I think, going to be up to him and the Connectional Council. Diane Burnett is the one holding that position, who's kind of the gatekeeper. But
Mike Schaefer?
Yeah, there it is, Mike Schaefer. So I think he's going to be the one. If it comes down to one person deciding if we can cover it next time, it'll be him or the chair of the Connectional Council. But it might be a Connectional Council. I really don't know. There'll be somebody
just
up there.
Complain to everybody.
Yeah, I know a number of people reached out to Diane. They told me about it, and it just doesn't go any further than that. So it's frustrating. Hey, Paul, good to see you, man.
And we had discussed this before. It's like it's one thing if it's copyrighted and they're making money off of it. That's fair. But they're not making any money off of it. Who cares?
Yeah. How many been on their live stream at any given time today?
I think there haven't been a lot today. There's about 200 right now.
Okay.
208.
And it's already probably fallen off since they called the break.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's probably fallen off on this particular plenary session.
Oh, my gosh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got 23 people with us right now. Well, since they went on break, people are like, what's Rickman saying? Nothing interesting. It might get interesting here in a minute. I don't really have anything interesting to say. Doug says, voting seems such a challenging thing to accomplish. The machines they're using don't sound super user-friendly, and they have no ability to change a selection once touched. Yeah. You know, this is a consistent frustration at every annual conference I've been to where there's voting. I've never once seen a good system. Maybe that's how you and I can finagle our way in to
create the voting system.
Yeah, we'll just have the voting system. We'll say there will be 0 issues this time, Bishop.
Yeah.
Give us access, and we can eliminate all these headaches for you.
Right.
Whoever solves this problem deserves a medal.
I mean, a lot of it's like, I hate to say it, but it's a user error. And you can't fix user error most of the time.
Yeah, we've been to some conferences where they've given everybody like 3 minutes to vote, and they're in and they're going, has anybody still not been able to log on your phone?
Yeah.
Yes, here.
Well, okay, yeah. So phone's always a bad idea. Always a bad idea.
Jerry Moore was asking, the 30 that we're not able to come, are they all from Africa? The answer is yes.
Are they all from Africa?
Yeah, I don't think there's a single one
I know
outside of the African
I know at least
continent.
the majority of them were.
Yeah. And that wasn't by design. Beth Ann Cook addressed that in a report. Was that just yesterday that she reported?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was in the morning. Excuse me. Sorry about that. We were very confident whenever we scheduled this that it would be easier for people to get to San Jose than to the U.S. And to a degree, they were right. I mean, I don't think they've seen the massive failure that the UMC did.
Well,
by
yeah,
design.
no, there's only about 30 of them that aren't able to attend. So out of 300 and some, that's pretty good.
That's 10%, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then what percent of Africans were missing from the United Methodist General Conference?
I don't remember,
or
but
yeah,
majority.
it was a huge percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry, it was guaranteed not intentional this time, but they have decided the decision made yesterday, well, before yesterday, but everybody learned about it yesterday, is next time in 2026, they're going to hold it in a Central African country with a low visa threshold. Getting visas has just been the issue. So it's going to be in Africa, and it's only going to be 5 days long. That's the part that I'm concerned about, but they're going to do a ton of work before the conference session begins, or at least that's the rhetoric right now.
Yeah, and I don't remember why like some of those 30 couldn't come. I don't know if she said it specifically, but did it have something to do with like they had to travel through certain countries and they couldn't get they had to get
Yeah,
visas for those countries?
yeah,
before
just
they
to
could
travel
get,
through a country, you have to get a visa. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something. There was no way they.
Right.
Well, I mean, I guess they could have known that. Well, no, they couldn't have,
Well, she
because
also
if they did
said-
it for the United Methodist Church, then they didn't have to worry about getting them through another country. Everything flies directly to the U.S.
Well, yeah, and she did say something about like the time frame to even get to talk to like I don't know, whoever you talk to get visas.
Yeah, they have a consulate.
Yeah. It was a crazy time frame for some of them, at least for the U.S. I
Yeah.
don't remember. I'm
Well,
not
we moved
remembering
very
exactly.
fast in the GMC. Dee's asking about something. Let's use this to transition into. Hey, Daniel's with us today. Let's use this to transition into your report on what I missed. I went and put my my kids down for their midday nap.
So-
well, wait. Dee asked, did y'all already discuss Matt Sickles' comment when somebody made a motion to limit how many people can be on committees from 2 conferences? So you were telling me that they limited how many people could be nominated from each conference for each committee, or at least that was something brought to the
So
floor.
that was-
but
yeah,
what did
that was-
Sickles say?
I don't remember what Sickles said. I know he came forward later on to call the question, and they just went on to it. He didn't have to do it. I don't remember exactly what his comments were. I think it was a vote. Okay, so let me back up. They tried to put forward a motion this was the first motion, so they started it. They said, "Hey, this is what we're doing today," and gave a little explanation, and then somebody came up to try to suspend the rules so that for this nomination, each committee would only get 1 laity from a particular area and 1 clergy from a particular area. So, like,
When you say particular area, you mean annual conference?
annual conference, yeah. So you couldn't have like hypothetically a commission or a council that had 5 people from Trinity or 5 people from the Heartland Conference. It wasn't packed with people from a particular area. The idea was to make it more diverse. So they wanted, say, you vote 1 person in from the Heartland Annual Conference for clergy. No other clergy could be voted in from the Heartland.
Right,
It had to
yeah.
be somewhere else.
Yeah.
So they tried to get that passed. There were a couple of motions. I think there were 3. Yeah, there were 3 motions against it, and I think Matt Sickle, one of his was, but I don't recall exactly what he said. The overall majority of what the against vote was that basically we don't want to be handcuffed into possibly not using the best people for the best
Yeah.
job.
What if like the 2 best people are in the Heartland?
I'm on the other side. Like maybe that's the case, but I find it highly unlikely that like the best people are only in 1 annual conference. Like even if they're not the best and they're like pretty good, like don't bunch them all in 1 area. I think it's just unnecessary.
According to Jen Groff, Sickles said he did not like being ruled from above and restricted again like the old ways.
Okay, his was the more emotional one, the last one. Then, yeah, he
Very
was,
passionate speech, says Jen.
Yeah. Okay. I'm remembering that. We may have to cut that up and put that in the end of
Yeah.
report.
Make a clip of that. Daniel's also on. He says he expressed frustration with the top-down mandate requiring equity across annual conferences. Let us choose who's best. We care about diverse representation. Don't force it, was the sentiment.
So yeah, so my issue with his comment in particular was that we need. He said we need to be diverse. we know that we need to be diverse. And I'm like, well, sure, you know that this generation. That's at the forefront of everybody's mind.
Let me share a thing. I was Facebook just shows me random people. I have not seen anything from David Livingston for a while, but he's in the UMC and he's a centrist. Well, I would say he's a liberal. He calls himself a centrist. Here's a comment he made. I'm spending almost no time thinking or working on the new Global Methodist Church Convening Conference happening right now in Costa Rica. You better believe he's saying that in some kind of tone, like, I don't care about them at all.
Who is this guy?
He's in the United Methodist Church. He was one of the leading voices on the plenary floor at the General Conference for the UMC.
Okay.
He's associated with UM. The bishop is talking again. He's asking for levity and spiritual uplift. Okay, so they're singing, and we can't cover that anyway. I'm going to read this, and then we'll pick up on this comment in a minute. He said, basically just checking the headlines that Christopher Ritter provides, but I'm looking for a couple of areas of particular interest. Here's one. Some of us raised the concern years ago about the potential treatment of clergy women. We were told there was no reason for concern. I spent some time looking at the list of nominations for general committees and commissions. I think this is a good way to evaluate concern for equal treatment because we typically look at each group in isolation. In the local church, for example, we might say, oh, Committee X has a couple more men than women, but that's okay. And it is okay. But if we think that way for every committee, then the overall leadership gets way out of whack. So here's what I found. A total of 244 clergy were nominated for 11 committees. Note some people were nominated for more than one committee. I'm not spending the time to sort those out, so one person nominated for 2 committees counts as 2. Of those 244 clergy, 51 are women. That's 21%. The lowest percents are on the Committee of Appeals and the Ministry of Higher Education. The highest is in discipleship and doctrine and just ministry. This is just one metric. There are others that can be used. If I were in the GMC, this metric would concern me. So we can talk about that in a minute. I want to check out what's on the live stream for a second. They're singing Because He Lives.
Yeah, they're still trying to figure the voting stuff out, so they're making it less awkward. Everybody's standing around getting angry at the voting people.
I love whoever they've got on organ.
It's pretty good.
All right, they're singing Because He Lives. I haven't heard it played this way before. I've always heard it like schmaltzy and sentimental.
This is the uplifting, like,
oh yeah,
get after it. It's pretty good.
I think I'd prefer this version in worship, actually.
Talk to Sarah Beth about that.
Yeah, right. Man, if Sarah Beth could play organ like this, we'd have some good times in the Rickman household.
Huh?
We already do. So do you want to talk about representation a little bit more while he's doing this?
We can.
Well, so I want to see comparative metrics about how many female clergy there are to begin with compared to male clergy, because I mean there was never half and half in the UMC. So like anytime you want to see a disparity, you want to look at how big the pool actually is.
Sure.
And then how distorted it is at the top level. So I haven't seen anything indicating how many Global Methodist female clergy there are versus male clergy.
I guess I would just say I don't care.
Well, I know you don't care. Well, you care about representation a little bit.
I've come
you
around
care about
to,
regional representation.
Yes, yeah. on the committees. I'm fine with that. I think that's fair.
But you don't think women have women brain that we need?
Do they have a women brain? So either they're exactly the same as men or closely resembling.
Yeah,
or,
let them have it both ways. They're special. Yeah. They're special in the ways, and then they're the same in the ways.
Yeah. No, I think that's ridiculous.
You don't like that? Okay.
Yeah. Sure, that women tend to be more empathetic. Sure, that's fair. Does that mean we have to have 50-50 representation on every committee of men and women. I just don't see. I don't feel like that's a compelling argument.
Hey, look, all that it was mainstream UMC. That's what I was reaching for, and that's the caucus group that David Livingston's a part of. And then my friend Jennifer says mainstream UMC needs to stay out of the GMC. They don't want our input on the UMC. We left for a reason. I kind of like this stage. I think it's good to see how people see us from the outside. I was just going to make fun of David a little bit because he's like, I couldn't care less what they're doing, but this is how many people they have on their committees.
Right,
that took some time. I mean, that's more
you
time
have to
than I
look
was
that
putting
up.
into
It's not like you have to go find that. It's not like somebody mailed it to you or
David,
texted you. Here
just
you go.
admit you're interested in us. It's okay. I think we're interesting too, but I think it's good to have an outsider look in at what's going on. Oh, Jones is talking now.
They're getting ready to vote again. So they are voting for, they've already voted for the 4 clergy on the Council of Appeals. This is the 3 laity on the Council of Appeals.
Council of Appeals, that's the one that is like...
Council on Appeals, Council of Appeals, I don't know. It says
on.
Council. Is it? Okay. It says on their thing, and then the vote said of.
Is that what the Supreme Court of the GMC is called?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're electing our Supreme Court justices now.
So there's 7 altogether. 4 of those are clergy, 3 are laity, and these are the lay people.
Some guy's name is Kitten from West Plains. Surely, I was going to say surely it's his last name, but no, below their first name's Kitten Arthur.
Let me look at the Daily Journal. So
maybe it's a woman.
All of this stuff is on page 12 of the Conference Journal, not the afternoon one. It's the one from...
Oh, the Conference Journal?
Yeah.
Did they upload a new one? Like a Daily Journal? Or no,
I don't think so, no.
No.
So
You're talking about the thing that was published a few days ago.
Yeah. So some of the names have changed because people have withdrawn and people have I don't know if anybody's been added to it, but people have definitely withdrawn and updated because some of them were clergy and some of them were have went from being laity to clergy. So there is definitely going to be some name changes, but for the most part, it's correct on the Daily Journal.
Wait, you said this is on page 12?
12 of 24. So there's the afternoon one, which we're not looking at.
Doggone it, you're not talking about the one that was published a few days ago.
There should only be 2 on there when you go. One's the afternoon, which is what we looked at this morning. That's already...
Yeah, they've done it. Okay, so the world will know. Here, I'm going to more... Oops, I shouldn't have hit that. Important documents. Daily Journal.
Yeah, the other one says
9/22/24.
That should be it.
Why is it dated yesterday? That drives me nuts. Okay, so which one do I download?
One of them's labeled afternoon, and not that one.
Evening edition.
Or yeah, evening. No, not the evening.
Don't do the evening. Okay.
Yeah. And then we're on page 12.
All right, I'm going to download this. And then got to find where I went. All right. All right, I got it pulled up. We're on page 12 of 24. Okay, so we're on the Council of Appeals, and we might elect a person named Kitten.
They do have a list that has a important documents, nominations list for general church councils and commissions. It's also in the important documents. Is that the one? That's not it.
Have you heard anything more about the Council Communications Commission?
No.
Because the way I understood it this morning, they were thinking about not having one. Or they voted something in saying that we'd not have one. But surely that's not the case.
I don't know if they voted on anything yet.
I think they did. They had consent calendars that they adopted earlier.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, no, I didn't actually look at all of what they passed yet.
So I'm looking at the nomination list for the general church councils and commissions, and I'm not even seeing anything on the Council of Appeals. I'm just gonna search appeals. It was right there. Okay, so that's what they published there. And then how much of a difference is there between? It's got to be the exact same thing. There's 12 names and 9 names. Yeah. Okay, they've just got it printed on 2 different documents. All right. And I only know who a couple of these are. The top guy on the clergy side, Zadie Abiadi, I think he was the one who's praying in the hallway that we played that clip of yesterday. I could be wrong. Yeah, the doc guy. If it wasn't him, I don't know who it was. 284 valid ballots. 143 are needed to elect.
See, 143 or 200?
1. Uh-oh. He's saying that the numbers were completely changed.
Yeah. It's a new ballot.
Oh, it's a new ballot.
Yeah. User error. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't assume that the numbers are going to be the same every single one. Like, look at them. Those are different. I don't think the Chris Steiner person was voted before. Ron Enns was. I think he's the only one. Him and Jim Keller, I think, are the only ones I didn't change on the vote before. But
man, God bless you for keeping track of this stuff.
I'm trying to.
Wow, I'm so impressed with you. I wasn't there. You could offer me $100. I'm not tracking this. Just publish the list later. Let me know later.
Yeah, but I don't know how long it's going to take.
So Jennifer says the person I like is not an organist, but is a keyboardist. I just know it sounds like an organ, so it must be the organ setting on the keyboard. Yeah. They're really good.
No, they're not hauling organs around. That's a keyboard.
Well, they make small organs. They had a small organ. I've been at churches
like an
with
electronic organ.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like an electric portable one. I don't know why you would invent something different where you can just hit the organ key on a.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. But you're probably right, Jennifer. Duncan says, regarding Livingston's comment, a measure such as that is useless unless you know proportions of clergy. Unless you're trying to lie with statistics to smear someone. Yeah, I can imagine being concerned about it if he said we were scheduled for a break at 3:15. Let's go ahead and take it. I'm going to call for a break now. He's at the end of his rope. Oh, how frustrating. One theory is if someone voted for Hogwood, come up to the podium.
They just need to redo that vote.
All right. So they're going to take a 30-minute break. They're adjourning for 30 minutes. So we got plenty of stuff to talk about, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, just let me go through the other things that happened.
Oh, yeah. That's a great thing to do.
So there was the motion to make it so that you can only have one person from the clergy and one person from the laity from each annual conference. That ended up getting voted down.
Because it was Sickles
203 to 110.
Yeah.
So whatever. I don't think the reasons were very good to. I'm okay with eliminating it to that. I don't find that the argument that the best people are all happen to be in the same annual conference. Sure, possibly, but who cares? So whatever. It voted down. It didn't pass. Rick just got up and tried to put another motion forward, and I'm kind of confused on that one. So somebody else took it differently, but I think what he wanted to do was just take the list of nominations from the TLC and nobody else got in. I think there was something about the committees that are there voting on having people nominated. I'm not sure how that was going. Doesn't matter because it failed. Somebody wanted to make nominations from the floor. Motion failed. And then they went into the vote.
They didn't want to take nominations from the floor?
Yeah.
That feels like so,
democratic. I don't remember what the vote tally on that one was, but it didn't pass.
Jennifer explained what just happened a second ago that was so dysfunctional. She said they had 9 candidates on that vote, and then when they put up the results, there were only 8, and they moved the names to different numbers.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with their voting system, but
well, this is just a theory. I have no way of knowing this, but Beth Ann Cook gives her spiel about how they saved money on relying on cheaper options. But one of the things that happens when you rely on cheaper options is quality goes down.
I would be curious as to what the voting machines actually look like. If it's just a little handheld with numbers on it, and you just pick off what's on the screen, or how it works. If it's got its own little screen, I think it's from what it sounds like they may have their own little screen, but I don't know. I'd be curious as to what it looks like.
We'll get another tidbit on the report from you, but let's
that
consult.
was it. Nothing.
That was your report.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there were a couple of things put forward. None of them passed, and then we went into voting.
Duncan is commenting on David Livingston's remarks, I think. He says, it is unfair to attribute an evil motive, but my experience with progressives such as Livingston and the UMC teaches me that it would be foolish to assume good faith. Oh, I mean, he definitely doesn't want to see us do well, but, doesn't mean his critiques are wrong. Doesn't mean they're right either. I don't know. Like, he sees things very differently. Like, he and I spent time trying to get along. It was just very clear that we see things very differently. I don't wish anything bad upon him. And I think he's right about a lot of stuff. But, oh, are the girls awake? Okay, tell Mama. Thank you. Yeah, they can wake up at 4. Dr. Reverend Wendy Moeller-Seib is with us. She says, while you're looking that up, I have thoughts on women clergy. As a woman clergy, I do care deeply about how the episcopacy is structured and that women are represented in the Council of Bishops because I don't want women clergy to be able to be questioned at the local level. My concern is about the challenge women pastors still face in some local churches. I like guaranteed appointments for this reason. Wendy, you're the first person I've heard say they like guaranteed appointments in the GMC, which I 100% agree with your ability to hold whatever opinion you want. I'm just too much of a free market guy. So unfortunately, what has been concluded for some time and might possibly be right is that a free market does not benefit women, not necessarily because they're of lower quality, but because there isn't necessarily a big outcry for that innovation. So the theory in the UMC was if you force it, then eventually people will be indifferent to it. They'll learn to love it and expect it. And it's just a matter of kind of coercively changing people's tastes. I'm not assuming you would use the same language, Wendy. But what Wendy wants, what she's saying is, if we really are serious about having women clergy, then we should have guaranteed appointments, and we should make sure that we have a female presence on the Council of Bishops. We should make sure that we have a female bishop that gets elected immediately.
I would disagree with set appointments, like
guaranteed appointments.
Guaranteed appointments, yeah. Just in general, not for women, but guaranteed appointments. Sure, you're a clergy and you've done all the work to be clergy, but I don't think that necessarily, I'm the same thing with like teachers unions. Just because you became a teacher doesn't mean you're a great teacher.
I think the hope would be, I'm Steel Manning. The hope would be that there were perverse motives and incentives for ordaining people in the United Methodist Church. And so if we have started a new body that has right doctrine, the right ethos, then we're not going to ordain crummy clergy anymore. So they'll all be able to do the job. There will be some local churches that don't want them, and we need to be able to really push them on them, and then they will see that we did put a good
Ideally on the front end, but I mean, we're just kind of letting all of the clergy come in right now. I don't know what the vetting process is up front and how thorough it is.
Wendy's she's clarifying. She's not saying that she still wants guaranteed appointments.
Oh,
She's
okay.
saying she appreciated them for the protection they offered female clergy.
I-
And that protection is gone now. If it was protective and it's gone, then that protection's gone.
I'm sure my tone would change if I was a clergy, and I would want guaranteed appointments. I'm just laity, so
I'm clergy. I don't want it. If I'm a bad clergy, please do not guarantee me. Help me find another job. I need to be in a different sector.
You're that way, but there are people that are not that way.
I know, but it's not supposed to be a career. It's not supposed to be a career. It's something that I'm not even going to say it's a calling. I know everybody thinks it's a calling. Just because you're called doesn't mean you should do it. I don't think. I think only if you have the gifts and graces for it, and you don't get to determine that. A board.
Oh, yeah.
A board doesn't even get to determine that. The local church gets to determine that. So I think the board can determine if they want to be in a relationship with you and accredit you, but the local church decides. This is what I've really enjoyed about Kevin Watson's history book. For a long period of time, the thing that got you into clergy status in Methodism was not some board saying you had the gifts and graces for it. It was some current preacher taking you under their wing and saying, all right, get up there and preach, and I'll review you, and then we'll see how many people fall to their knees tonight. We'll see how many people make a commitment to Christ tonight, and then after that we'll talk. And so they just put the proof is in the pudding, like right there on the front end. That's what we need. I don't know anybody doing it that method now, but that's what's required for the present moment. Wendy says, I already know of churches that said no to pastors because they didn't want a woman. And I
don't doubt that at all.
right. Yeah. No, that's fully believable. Even if they were in the UMC the whole time and the UMC was pushing it the whole time, there are a lot of churches that just don't want it.
Yeah, and I would think it's probably, with the GMC being more conservative, it's probably more prevalent in the GMC than in the UMC.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
they're going to be more evangelical. So what I assume you'll find in the GMC is not people who's like, God don't speak through no woman. That's the stereotype. That's not what it is. It'd just be like, we need a firm hand on the wheel. We need a masculine presence. That's what people will respond to better here. We do well with a male presence in the pulpit. So nothing against women. God can speak through women. We just don't want one.
yeah, I don't want to get into the whole
Let's not.
clergy.
Okay, let's go. Let's go
arguments.
to Clayton says, what you described, TJ, is exactly what they're working with over there. Just little handheld devices, the way you described them.
With little screens on them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Jennifer says they wanted nominations from the floor because the Western U.S. Conference didn't get on the nomination. Oh, at all? There were no Western?
Yeah, that's something one of the persons.
Wow.
Well, so she got up and said that, and I think somebody else got up afterwards, and he was also from the
Western States?
and he said, we don't really.
We don't have anybody.
Well, no, he said you don't speak for us, essentially. I think
Oh.
that's what happened. I could be wrong. If you guys see
Interesting.
that, if that's not what happened, say it in the comments, but I think that's what happened.
Was it that same guy who spoke at the beginning of the day? Who was at the head of that one?
Who put the first motion forward?
No, who
No,
said
this
you
was
don't
another
speak for
guy.
us?
I don't
Okay.
remember who he was.
Jennifer says, then the guy from the Western U.S. got up and said, we don't do that for us. That's fun. All right, maybe that would be a good clip later, too. See if you can't find that. Dee says, no to guarantee. Everybody's against guaranteed appointment. The clergy mentoring, that would be quite a method. Clayton says he sent a picture of the device to us. That's very helpful.
Okay.
Let's pull this sucker up.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Is that my inbox? Maybe you sent it to my pastoral account. Did you send it to plainspokenpod@gmail.com? I'm just going to reload it. I do not have it in my inbox.
He doesn't have your phone number, does he?
He does. Oh, did you text me? Oh, yes, he did.
Cool.
You're so thoughtful. It's
Is that it? I can't.
this isn't a picture. I think that's supposed to be it right there.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.
You it's got
a
zoomed in
little
on somebody
screen.
from an angle from far away. All right, Clayton. Well, that's better than
Interesting.
nothing. Thank you. Maybe you meant to send me another one.
Did you put that on the screen?
Yeah, I put it on
Okay,
the screen.
cool. You've got a different.
Now I'm second guessing myself. Maybe I didn't put it on the screen. That's the screen. Yeah, it's just it looks like they put a piece of paper on top of it.
It looks a little flimsy.
Jerry Moore, TJ's not a pastor. He's my friend. He's a priest in the priesthood of all believers.
Yeah, I guess.
What were you going to say, brother?
Part-time for the church. So I work part-time for the
church. Yeah. You were saying something before whenever I...
other than the little voting things, it looks a little flimsy. That's it. If I said something else, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's okay. Jennifer says the motion was from the Upper Midwest Conference. The guy from the West was the same guy. Okay. I trust Jennifer over you. Sorry, bro.
No, she's probably paying better attention.
Yeah, she is. She's done a great job paying attention. Tim says the man from the West mentioned that they had their own strategy. That's cryptic. Man, I love that y'all been watching this stuff and we can get these great minds together. Clayton says, I do what I can. All right, so we still got a lot of election in front of us for today. They're going to be using these devices unless
if they can get the voting thing figured out. But the rest of today is supposed to be voting on these committees.
I wonder if they're sending out the work of the legislative committees yet. Like, I know that so I got a copy of the new Constitution that's being submitted by the Constitution Committee. They reworked a lot of stuff, so they don't have... Sickle was on that committee. He sent it to me. He said, we didn't show how we edited what we changed because we changed so much stuff. It'd just be too confusing. So
on the Book of Discipline or what?
Yeah, the Constitution that's going to be at the front of the Book of Discipline. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, I mean, it was the same thing with the Book of Discipline. They changed so much stuff. It would be weird to expect them to...
I still want it. I want big diagrams, arrows everywhere in different colors. I want to make sense of it. I want to see what they changed. So that was
I can see with the before and after. Fine.
Yeah. It was always very frustrating. Like every time they would update the Transitional Book of Doctrines and Discipline, I didn't know what exactly. So you and I would be reading through different versions, and we'd be like, "Oh, this." I
would download the newest one, and you would have had one that's got all your notes and everything on it, and they would
be irrelevant. Yeah. One guy wrote me, and he's like, "Can I have all your notes?" So I sent him like 6 versions that I'd taken notes on. He was like, "Oh, thank you so much." And I was like, "You poor man." But no, I'd love to see the series of amendments that would just be so fun, and just to see, like, because this is how power works. They slide little things underneath. So if you have to show everything, show your work, then I'm not even that nerdy. There are nerds bigger than me that could be like, you added this in. But I don't know. That level of suspicion just isn't helpful.
If it was the UMC, sure. I'm not worried about the GMC.
Yeah, and the GMC, no, and especially on that committee, everybody I talked to on that committee. So I'm trying to talk to all the people on all the committees. I went through and friended everybody on the delegates list. And then I tried to group them. On Friends, you can have these customized lists on Facebook. Yeah, the customized friends list. And then Facebook starts saying, "Oh, we think you're trying to mess with people." And I'm going, "No, I'm just trying to file them." Yeah. And then I finally got them filed over the course of like 2 or 3 days because they just slow you down. They don't do anything. And then I start sending messages to each person on the committee, and then I get like 100 people in, and I realize it's only sent like the first 20. And then so anyway, I'm hearing from some of the people on some of the committees, and the Constitution Committee obviously is getting along really well. Did great work. They had different opinions about stuff, but they were very gracious. The only committee where I heard about like a significant amount of contention is the Episcopacy Committee.
Really?
Yeah, and I've heard from several people, and they weren't mean about it. They weren't like calling each other names or anything. Although to hear Joe talk this morning, if y'all didn't see it, I interviewed Joe DiPaolo, who has been a General Conference delegate for the UMC before. He's still UMC. He's just there as an observer. And he said in legislative committees in the UMC, things didn't usually get bad at all. They were still very polite there. And I just always assumed that they would have like open conflict in legislative committees at the UFC.
Well, I mean, how much did stuff change within like the Episcopate? I assume there's the same kind of committees.
I don't remember what the legislative committees are, but I remember they had different legislative committees that dealt with substantial work. So it's just interesting to me that like guns weren't drawn in that sense. Like the UMC really was a very passive aggressive organization rather than aggressive, you know? And so, but But even so, in this committee work, there were just a lot of different areas where different people were required to compromise, and some people are of the mind that they had to compromise too much, and they're going to have to vote against it. Uh, I'm a little anxious. I'm wondering how it's going to go when it's presented to the body. So anyway, I'd like to see it. I don't know if anybody knows if all of the work of the legislative committees has been published anywhere yet. I would love to see it. I'm thinking that it's all pretty quiet right now, and that it's not available for public consumption yet.
Hit some comments. You haven't hit any comments.
Yeah, Becca's fed up with my worry about pork barrel dealing in the amendments, in the GMC amendments. I don't know. My concern right now for people who get irritated with me is not actually right now. It's like on down the line. I know everybody's hoping that like factions don't develop and we maintain the spirit. And I did ask Joe DiPaolo that question of how do we preserve that going on. And maybe it will, but in the event that it doesn't, my concern is that we develop a structure that is resilient against bad actors. And so even if we don't have any bad actors right now, I want to make sure that we have a structure that protects from bad actors.
Or even like is not worrying about stuff being put in. Like I remember one of the first Oklahoma annual conferences that I went to, they were putting all these things forward, and everybody was just like almost consensus vote. Like they were just like, voted in, whatever. Who cares? You know, let's not look at it, just vote it in.
Yeah.
Like rubber
using that part of your brain is just really hard for some people.
Yeah.
And most people don't get into ministry or church leadership if you're laity so that you can sit and read reports and think about all the implications. They just want to serve Jesus and love people. In which case, we've designed a polity for a different kind of people than what we got. It was Doug France who took my notes. He said, I made some good use of those notes on the old transitional book of doctrines and disciplines. The project was bigger than I could finish. It's an ongoing learning process that our church wants to stay in and know better as we had in the past. I've been thinking about this. We haven't talked about this yet. When we get a new final book of doctrines and discipline, you want to march back through it with me?
I don't. I really don't. Gosh.
All right. Okay.
Maybe like a skimmed version, or we just kind of like.
I don't know how to skim.
That
I wanted
so
to skim.
long.
It did take a long time.
And it was just like.
We almost completed the whole thing going through judicial practice and procedure, and then we were like,
we got through like half of it or third of it.
Yeah,
I think is what we did.
A significant portion.
Yeah, it is just very tedious.
Yes. Well, and when it's about to change so much, it's hard to find the motivation. But we made it further. We made it a long way. I'm glad you're not irritated. And yes, I am very amusing. Thank you. All right, Duncan, I'm really unclear on how this appointment system is going to work. Okay, so Duncan, it's very simple. I'm kidding. It's not simple at all. They're trying to do a hybrid model between an Episcopal model and a congregational model. Episcopal means bishop decides. Congregational means congregation decides. There is a negotiation process, which they call consultation. And they had this in the United Methodist Church, but in the UMC, it was still a final bishop decides. But they couldn't move clergy around in a certain way without consultation. In the GMC, the local church has a lot more authority to just refuse a pastor that they don't want. And so the institution can still make demands like you have to interview so many people for a pastoral position. Oh, Clayton sent a much better picture. Clayton, God bless you. Here we go. Here's an actual picture of the voting device. Oh, can I rotate this? Let's see. Edit, rotate. No, I can't.
Oof, that looks real. You have to.
What happens if I hit Command R? Oh, does it rotate it there? No. I don't even know what Command R does, and I should not be showing you who's talking to me. All right. Well, anyway, that does show a very cheap-looking device.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
All right. So, Duncan, the concern about how it is that appointments are going to work, it's the conference superintendent. That is what they're going to be called. That they're going to be the primary coordinator of conference administrative business. They're going to be in consultation with presiding elders about the needs of local churches. The bishop is still going to sign off on appointments, but almost certainly is not going to be watching over like he or she did in the UMC. And then the congregation is going to have a lot more authority as deciding power about who is their clergy. And then there's an expectation that they do long-term appointments rather than mixing things up as much as they did in the UMC. Although I think that's kind of a red herring. I think what we're going to find is that turnover is about the same in the GMC. Y'all can watch this, and I'll totally eat my words if I'm wrong, but I just think a lot of churches get fed up with clergy, and clergy get fed up with churches a lot more frequently than we were. In the UMC, it was like, oh, we have an itinerant system. We have to move so frequently. But actually, it was, I'm done here. Please get me out of here. I'm done. I want to climb the ladder. And so I could be wrong. We'll see. Surely there's some nerdy person like David Livingston who can go through all our records and say, oh, the turnover rate was here in the UMC. Anyway, we're not going to be working with Lewis Church leadership. I guarantee you that. Duncan says, is there going to be an annual move time within the denomination? I really don't think so. How much say do the pastors have? They have some. Yeah, you can't get sent somewhere you don't want to go in the GMC. But the thing in the GMC, though, is they got rid of the guaranteed appointment thing. So in the United Methodist Church, they had to give you an appointment. In the GMC, they can say, okay, we've got an appointment for you. They might even say, we don't have an appointment for you. Sorry. You can be there or nowhere. And if you ask for a new place, you can be like, I don't really like that place. And they can say, it's this place or no place. You know, they couldn't really do that in the UMC. They had to find a place for you. How long will we be able to keep our pastor if we're both happy? Forever. Till he dies or she dies or the church burns down or Jesus comes back. You know, in the GMC, they're not wanting to move pastors unless they need it. Jerry says, call a subcommittee to discuss the new framework with you and TJ chairing the committee. I don't know what committee it is, but it's going to be a great committee. Might be the committee reviewing the Book of Doctrines and Discipline, in which case...
The reviewing the Book of Discipline, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, God, please don't.
Somebody's going to do that work. It's not going to be us. Jennifer says, my church is in the beginning of this process. Oh, so if you have specific questions about what the process looks like, you can ask Jennifer.
The process of getting a new pastor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And if I described it inaccurately, Jennifer, or if it looks different on the ground from how I described it, this is not just I've heard several people who designed the system as to how it's supposed to work. So there are many things I talk about that's like, I don't know, maybe this, maybe this. I'm pretty certain that this is how it's designed to be. Okay, so for the rest of the day, let's look at, I haven't looked at the calendar just yet. I'm going to call it up here. I think this is today's calendar. Today is Monday, right?
23rd.
Yeah, Monday the 23rd. So we've already gone, okay, so legislative committees and plenary is what we should be at right now, right? They haven't gone to dinner yet.
No, it's 3:30 over there almost.
Okay, and the last thing we heard, they were taking a break for...
Oh, 3:30 is when they adjourn for buses and dinner, isn't it?
All right. So the live stream is still going. They're still live.
Well, that's what they've been doing. They're just leaving it, throwing up the screen.
I guess that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Okay, so... Are they... I always forget. So right there is it 5:23 or is it 3:23?
It's 3:23 there.
Okay. So they're supposed to break for legislative committees or plenary. They've been in plenary. They were taking... So are they definitely continuing with plenary today? Are they going to continue the votes?
If I had to guess, they're probably going to try to keep with the schedule as best they can, because they weren't. I don't think they were going to get. They probably didn't plan on getting all the people voted in today.
No, no, they were clear about that.
Yeah, so they're probably just going to push the rest of that off. If I had to guess, I could be completely wrong. But if they keep going with this, it's going to mess up the rest of the schedule.
Keep going with the voting?
Yeah. So
well, they allowed. So I think when I talked to Tom Lambrecht, and I'm not a psychic, but his tone seemed to me very confident that these legislative committees were going to knock out the work really well. There'd be a good sense of consensus, and that the plenary would adopt what they did pretty quickly, such that on Thursday, if you look at the Thursday schedule, they're like, we don't even know if we need an afternoon schedule. but that took for granted that these voting machines would work. So
Right.
they've got to be trying to like figure out, do we have like a bunch of pieces of paper that we can use for vote? Because this is how they used to do voting. They used to have different.
Well, some of these votes today, they just took hand votes. Like raise your hand if you say yay. And
Well, but with elections, you have to make sure you meet a certain margin. You have to count it up. So
True.
So, and they used to do that, and it used to be very persnickety. And so you better believe there's some old timers going, let's just do the old card system. Maybe not.
I think they'll figure the voting thing out. Shit, they've got 2 people just up on stage that are handling tech support for the voting. So I assume they've got a couple of other people there at least. So they'll figure it out.
Well, if the tech is too limited to do what needs to get done, that had literal buttons.
I mean, yeah.
And if there's like if there's like a firmware issue,
that would
don't worry about firmware issues.
Well, if that changed at all, that would have meant they've had to update it right in the middle of that, and I don't. I worked in tech support for years.
They wouldn't have updated it right before
you. Absolutely, they might have updated it like probably a couple of days before the conference, maybe.
Yeah, right, and then not tested it, and all of a sudden it's not working, and you have to like go back to the previous firmware version.
They tested. They had a test vote right before they did the first vote on the committee thing. So they said, okay, here's a test vote,
and that was sufficient.
Well, who do you want to? Pick 5 people that you would want to go to dinner with, and it was like Peter, Paul, and Abraham. One out, but that went relatively fine. There was a bunch of people that couldn't figure it out, that didn't vote. Like you've got to.
So this is why you're big on the user error theory.
Well, yeah. So this one's a little more complicated than just like, okay, click one button. This is like you got to click 5 buttons. You've got 5 choices. You've got to pick 5. If you pick 4, vote doesn't count. If you pick 6, vote doesn't count. Like, and they were clear on that. So what's the other option?
Methodists can't do this.
It's like, come on, guys.
They're so this is I'm going to get on a theological. Just a very brief one. I love the GMC. I'm so excited to be part of the GMC. I'm not just saying that, but our anthropology is way too optimistic about human nature and capacity.
A little bit, yeah.
We got more comments that we can distract ourselves with. I'm just having fun talking to TJ. I would be doing this if it was just us. So this is just pretty much you getting the in-studio experience with me and TJ. This is how we hang out during the week. Tim says, can you find your own place apart from being appointed? So this is an interesting question. Officially, no, but I think it is going to develop that this happens. And I actually want to develop a system where churches can advertise what they want. This is the kind of pastor we're looking for, and pastors can get on and search for appointments themselves. Right now, presidents pro tempore. Are you wanting me to hold a baby? I can hold a baby. Okay. You're just hanging out. Oh, okay. I'll be over in a second. Okay, right now, conference superintendents, presidents pro tempore, they figure out the open churches and all the clergy they have to work with, and the presiding elders, they try and figure it all out. And I think it's just too much for these people who are already stressed and strained. I think it's better if you allow the free market to prevail. But I don't think, at that point, I think everybody would be like, this is congregationalism. This is not an Episcopal system. So that it would just be too much further that way.
So one of the other days of plenary, they were talking about a couple of petitions that had to do with lay supply pastor. Is that correct? So I guess hypothetically, if you're looking to get into that, you could get into getting your own church. You could be a lay supply pastor. But they did stipulate that if you tried to do that, you have to be on your road to ordination. Like that's the only way they.
Well, even then, you don't find your own church. Oh, like if you're already in a church and they need somebody and you're there and you're like, okay, I'll step up and do it. Then they're like, okay, you have to be on the road to ordination. But no, there's not really a scenario where you're like, I think I could preach, and then I just start looking at where's some churches I could preach at. Like GMC would be like, no, I mean maybe we have a church for you, but you're going to go through us. You're not going to find your own church.
So what if you just decided to go to one of those churches that was looking for a pastor?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'm going to look for a church that's wanting a pastor. I'm
Yeah.
going to go to this church, and then I'm going to put myself in as a lay supply pastor and try to do it that way.
I mean, they would still say you have to go through us.
Oh, sure, yeah, no. Yeah. The stipulation was like you have to be on the road to ordination. It's not like you can just stay in a lay supply pastor role.
But the moment you contact them, they'd be like, stop talking to them. We're going to talk to them for you. We're going to talk to you for them. We want to be in control of this process.
I guess.
Yes. They're very clear that they want to stay in control of this process. All right. Why don't you come over here and look at the comments and talk to the people a little bit, and I got to talk to my wife. Yeah.
Okay. What are we doing?
Y'all get to enjoy TJ solo now. I don't think the world has ever seen this. And you just click it to highlight it, and then click it to unhighlight it. All right.
Oh, I have no idea what I'm doing, so we're going to figure this out. What is the last comment that you went over?
The green ones are ones I've already done.
Okay.
So hit Pastor Jane and Pastor.
So I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually answer some of these like Jeffrey would, because Jeffrey's more.
I'll come back and answer the ones that I can, and then just spitball, have fun.
Okay, I'm just going to skip around these and do the easy ones. Are they an hour ahead of us? Yes, they're an hour behind us. So Central Time right now, it's 4:30 here. I guess they don't do like daylight savings time there, which sounds great. I think daylight savings time is ridiculous. So they're an hour behind us. They're Central Standard Time. So it is 3:30 there now, which is when they are supposed to have a break. Let's see. D says, I'm really enjoying you and TJ in the studio together. Oh, thank you. I wish I could do this full time, but if you want that, you've got to go subscribe to Locals or give to the church. It's just not financially feasible. What else do we've got here? It is 3:31. Yes. Thank you, Clayton. That's correct. So we'll see if they stick to the schedule or not. I think from what the bishop was saying earlier, they are going to try to the rest of the day. The plenary session was supposed to be voting on these boards and agencies. I don't think they had anything else planned. There was one legislative committee that I don't know if they got all of their stuff completed. There was one left, and they had like maybe 2 petitions or something along those lines. I don't remember, but they were the only ones left. And then I guess the rest of the week's going to be voting. What's Jeffrey's back?
Do we need to? Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah, because I'm awful at this.
It's good for TJ to do things that I do. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Pastor Jane and Pastor Charlie, the appointment system is very similar to what I had in the Free Methodist Church. It will be a change in mindset that clergy will eventually stay or must be willing to move across the country. Yeah, that really will be different. I think it'll be harder to stay in a certain area. You'll just have to...
If you're a bishop or if you're...
No, if you're clergy.
Clergy.
Yeah. So like what we had in the United Methodist Church, what you have certain dense areas is like, they'll just shuffle the deck every now and again, and some people shuffle out who retire or die. Some people shuffle in and then you just musical chairs. And now there's not going to be a time when everybody moves around at the same time, and there's not going to be a guaranteed appointment, and there's going to be a prolonged consultation process that is going to be, man, that's a headache in and itself. So, and then, the pressure release valve, I think, will be letting churches and clergy negotiate directly if they want to, but then also having optional involvement from people above. But if they don't do that, it's just going to be so procedural and stressful. But like they're trying to promote equity in this system by like saying you have to interview so many people of an ethnic minority or so many women.
The GMC is still doing that?
Yeah, the GMC. Well, first draft. I'm not sure that that's surviving in the final version of the
I guess
Book of Doctrines
we were
and
talking
Discipline.
about that when we were going over the Book of Discipline, weren't we?
Did you talk about anything while I was gone that I needed to come back to?
Nothing really. I was stalling for time.
Evie's with us. She says Tom Lambrecht talked about the voting issue this morning. There often will be several rounds of voting for the same group, Each person has to get at least 50%. They can't just take the top 3 vote getters. So if candidate 1 is the only one with enough votes, they take him off the list in the second round of voting. But then whoever was number 2 on the list becomes number 1. So you have to see what number your candidate was and how it changes after the first vote.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't clear if they had to get a specific threshold.
Yeah,
in
threshold
order to move
50%
on.
plus
Yeah.
1. Yeah.
Okay, that wasn't made clear to me.
Tom says, blessed to be part. The Holy Spirit's very present. God is doing a new thing. That's great. Oh, sounds like things are starting back up. I think the term was interim ministers. Tim, okay, so there's 2, yeah, interim ministers is a thing, and then there's another, like, not clergy role. And I forget, lay supply? Yeah, I think that's it. Jennifer asked TJ, how is married life? She was feeling sorry
Thank you,
for
Jennifer. Yeah, throwing me a bone. I wish I would have seen that one. No, it's great. It's fantastic. Becca's a wonderful woman. I'm very blessed to have her. So it's great. It's great. We're a month in now. It's wonderful.
Lisa says, can you recap what's been happening, TJ? I was at a funeral this afternoon.
So for the whole day, basically, well, I guess I don't know what they've done I don't remember what they've done this morning. There wasn't a whole lot they did this morning. For the afternoon.
They did consent calendars from each of the legislative committees.
Right. Okay. So I'll just go with the afternoon stuff. Okay. Basically, they're just voting on the who's going to be on these. Are they called connectional councils? I've been saying different things. They're in the process of doing that. There were a couple of things trying to be brought forward earlier, but they all failed. So they moved on to the voting. They've voted for the clergy on the council on appeals, the 4 clergy members that are going to be on there. And they are trying to work through the 3 laity members, but we've been having issues with the voting system. So they just took a break to figure the voting thing out. And I guess that's what they're getting ready to do now.
Well, they put out, I mean, I showed everybody the screenshot just now. They're taking another vote right now for the Council of Appeals, the 3 laity positions, what they've been on for an hour.
Yeah. So they took one vote. There was some confusion, or they took 2 votes, I think, and there was some confusion around them. The numbers were changing, stuff like that. So they stopped to try to get the voting system figured out, and now they're retaking that vote.
But Clayton Lassiter, and I'm pretty sure we have at least a half a minute delay on this. Clayton Lassiter just now posted, and he said the devices are acting wonky.
Are they? Well, that was the numbers were changing on them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's saying that after they've started this latest vote.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oof. Well, they're still taking the vote.
Clayton says they don't want a live tally per candidate.
Yeah, there were a couple of people that were upset about the numbers showing up
before the final count.
Yeah, but Bishop Jones said that it doesn't show up until there is a final count, except for the online people, because they're not going to show up on this.
See, that's really weird to me. How is it that you have a system that can't integrate with people online?
Well, because they're not going to have the same voting thing, so I assume they're voting a different way.
Yeah, I know. So when software is a thing, you should be able to integrate it with different hardware.
Maybe.
Speaking of which, we need to figure out like some polling questions to ask people. That was something we talked about last week.
Yeah, I guess we could do that.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, like, we're thinking it'd be cool to, like, put out, like, quizzes, questionnaire. I don't know. What's the right word? Not, like, multiple questions,
Polls?
just, like, polls. Yeah. Just, like, a question that we get as many of y'all to answer around something pertaining to this. We just thought it'd be good to, like, give a sense for, like, where people are at. So TJ's going to figure out polling. If anybody has things that you've wondered about, just where public sentiment is around all this, then type it in the comments, and we'll do some draft polls, test polls, to see how many people we can get on board. I wish there was a way to...
Test polls?
Huh?
Instead of right now, test polls?
Yeah, test polls. Yeah, let's figure out how to do polls. It'd be great if we find a way to get delegates to do it, but for some reason, it's like they're busy. They're not talking to me. I'm being funny, or I'm actually not that funny. We got 137 people watching the election on their live stream. And then we've got 35 people with us. So we're seeing a quarter of the total audience. All right.
Oh, yeah, they're down to 140.
It's been kind of acrimonious. Well, that's not the right word. Stilted. So does green mean that somebody got the required votes?
No, green means that is the top vote. He got the most votes out of everybody, which is what happened before.
I feel like there's a Rick Enns. ENNS. And Ron Enns is the one who just got green.
So I'm thinking, I mean, 855 total votes is like, I want to say like 300 short of what they should be at. And I want to say they have to have at least 200 and some votes to clear the threshold. He'll say it in a minute.
I decided I'm going to try and get somebody who's there to step out of the convention hall and talk to us on Zoom and give us a report.
Surely not a voting member.
If I was a voting member, I'd want out of there. I just, hopefully you step up for whatever task needs to get done. But man, please don't put me in a position for a prolonged... I mean, when we voted at the Heartland Conference, I was in there for like half of it.
Yeah, I don't even remember what they were voting on.
Oh,
I don't think
they were applauding. Something happened. They elected Ron Enns with 243 votes. Oh, Gideon, okay. They all cleared the threshold. Gideon Johnson and Vicky Johnson. Gideon something.
Yours is way ahead of mine. I don't know why mine stopped.
Yeah, yours is way behind. I don't know what is happening. The question was, if you get elected as an alternate for one committee, then does that keep you from being a primary constituent of another commission? Because if you get elected, it's not clear in the rules. It's just a hypothetical question. Jones is already on his last nerve, so he's just laughing. So Jones just called an audible and said, if you get put on as an alternate, then you should withdraw from consideration from the others. Keith McWayne says, there are lots of technical problems here. Folks aren't upset as much as tired. These kinds of elections are important, but they aren't the most exciting things that we do.
Yeah, I got to imagine these are particularly boring. I mean, at least some of the other plenary stuff that they're voting in seems to have more of an impact up front. I mean, not to say that these are not impactful, but...
Well, they're super consequential. I mean, the frustrating thing about a lot of church work is the most boring work is often the most influential. I'll read some of the people that have gotten back to me. I forget if Cvetan is Bulgarian or Slovaki, but I asked him what his work on the Connectional Organization Legislative Committee was like. He said, as vice chair of the committee, I had very few responsibilities. It was an awesome experience because the chair, Ben McGee, knew what we were doing, and Wordley was taking care of the tech team, and I needed only to keep Ben the chair in line. So he had an awesome time. So, and I just like hearing that we had non-Americans in leadership roles. So, yeah, I don't care so much about regional variation in the leadership. I do care about cultural variation in the leadership and different people groups or language groups being represented. Some lady is wanting to call an audible. Oh, is that Carol Moore?
Yeah.
Bishop Jones ruled it out of order. She's going to get him for that when she's made bishop. I rule you're out of order, out of order. Oh, my gosh. She's such a clown sometimes, man. She actually is funny. Were
Did
you
you
there?
interview her?
No. She said no to an interview. They all said no to interviews.
Who's Carolyn Moore? I don't know who that is.
She's one of the Episcopal candidates. She came.
Okay.
She's one of the preachers at a Heartland gathering last year. I don't think you went to it.
No, it was
in Wichita.
Yeah, no, I didn't go to the Wichita one.
Yeah. She's a good preacher. I still, I haven't seen the sermon she gave last night. All right, so now they're doing still the Council of Appeals. Oh, they're doing laity alternates now. So they have 6 potential choices, and then they have 3 names that they've got to put up. I think that shows on the screen, yeah. That kitten person is still in the running. I got to meet this kitten person. So what Clayton's saying is we really need advice next time around that is hardwired and fully vetted. We own these devices, he says. GMC owns these devices.
That's unfortunate.
If y'all hear children screaming in the background, it's because there are children screaming in the background. This is a church, and there are children here sometimes. Some of them are mine. All right, what was I? Oh, I was going through other comments. I had a person I was asking to be on with us, and he says he's a marshal, so he can't, slip away for some reason. All right, so I wrote a man named Tom about his work on the Judicial Administration Committee. He said, we made it through our slate of petitions yesterday. The majority were minor editorial changes related to the end of the Transitional Leadership Council. The makeup of the committee was diverse, including a number of African delegates who weren't able to attend in person. There was strong unity in both discussions and decisions, and the African delegates participated via Zoom. Well, that's good. I mean, I like imagining that even if people are there remotely, that they're worked into to what takes place. I wrote a man named John about his work on the Connectional Organization Legislative Committee. He says, I'm going to speak not just for me, but for all 3 of our delegates from Mid-Texas who are part of the Connectional Organization Committee. We feel very good about all the work that this committee has done over the past several days. All of our petitions were reviewed and discussed in a very congenial manner. Any discussions for or against a petition or an amendment to a petition were heard with open minds and hearts. If the committee felt that a vote was going to be close, we stopped our discussions and went to the Lord in prayer. That's how it should be done, I'm always wanting to just figure it out. You got to have a good, okay. We feel that every petition was given proper consideration and are grateful for the opportunity that was put before us. We are especially grateful for the leadership that our chair, vice chair, secretary, and parliamentarian provided. Well, if I was the chair of that committee, I would be very glad that people on that committee were saying that. All right, we have our first submission for a poll question. Tim says, to what extent has the split severed personal and family relationships? So he would be talking about GMC leaving UMC. Just curious how much damage we're carrying, how many people.
Yeah, but what would the answers be to that? A lot, a little bit.
Yeah. How many family members did you lose? That's so morbid. Yeah, you would just have to do it in degrees, and it would be like a felt need one, or a personal subjective assessment of how much damage I received.
Rephrase that and do a question.
What percentage of your relationships were impacted by leaving the United Methodist Church?
Were affected.
Yeah, affected is broad.
What'd you say? What was your wording?
What percentage of your friendships were affected by splitting from the United Methodist Church? Yeah, I don't know. I kind of hate that one too. I don't hate Tim's. Like, I get what it's going for, but like, to what extent, he said. And it'd just be like a lot, some, hardly any.
I was going to say like 25%.
Yeah.
50%.
Yeah.
75%.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah, get people ruminating on their damage. That's good. What kind of things was I thinking of doing? Just like, I'm kind of interested in like, okay, just a 2-point thing. Do you want a strong church with strong leadership at the top, or do you want a weak church at the top with weak leadership? Because most people want like a weak church at the top with strong leadership, but remove that as an option.
Were you trying to ask for like set up a poll? Were you talking to me?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I can tell you were not listening to me at all.
No.
Yeah.
I was like,
Here,
I can only listen
instead
to
of multiple choice,
options.
it would just be a two thing. It'd be two options. Would you rather have a big, strong church with big, strong leadership, big, strong budget, or would you have a weak church with weak leadership and weak budget?
Would you rather have a weak church with a weak?
Yeah, like general church.
Okay. Weak church, weak budget,
weak leadership.
Weak leadership.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder and they have to choose. They can't abstain. They have to choose. Otherwise, their computer explodes. They're still taking the vote. Here, I'll show you my screen. That's what it looks like. It has names on it. Still for the 3 laity alternates. They say it doesn't show the vote tally, but I'm pretty sure in the top right it shows the vote tally. Rick Enns is trying to get off the ballot. Uh-oh. I don't know what I did.
Leadership, budget, and what was the other one? Influence. Non-influence.
Why didn't you remember everything? Now I've moved on in my brain. Big church. Big, strong budget and leadership. And size. Yeah, bureaucratic size. That's good. Bureaucracy.
The word length is limited.
All right, yeah, just,
We'll go with this one. And if you hate it, it's just a test.
I wrote a dude named David about his role on the Episcopacy and Superintendency Committee. He said it was a wonderful experience. Tedious, contemplative, but not contentious. Much deliberative thought. Oh, we got our second poll question. Jen Groff, she says, How many times have you heard about entire sanctification from the pulpit? Okay, choose between hers and mine. My variation would be, do you feel like you understand the theological concept of entire sanctification?
How about, have you heard of entire sanctification from the pulpit? Yes
Okay.
or no?
Yeah, okay. Yes.
Okay.
From the pulpit.
I'm just doing this on YouTube right now. Nobody's voted. There should be a question there.
On YouTube?
On YouTube.
So if you go to our stream right now on YouTube, like over the picture, there will be a thing that you can hit.
It's over the comments.
Over the comments. I'm going to see if I can't go. And here, I need to go where I'm not logged in, right?
Yeah, you just switch your account. So switch it from Plain Spoken to Jeffrey Rickman.
I'm going to do it on a different browser.
Also works. They're still voting on alternates? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
They didn't vote on alternates for the clergy.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I'm not even logged into any other accounts on Safari.
You use Chrome. Google. You know they steal your information.
They all do.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do it on my phone. Yeah.
Ooh, we're at 50-50
By the way,
now.
we're at what?
50-50, 4 votes.
Y'all circulate the poll. Can they get a URL and circulate the poll?
No, this is YouTube
Lame.
specific.
Oh, they found a purse. Oh, yep. I see it right there at the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. I'm seeing the one, what kind of general church structure would you like? Not the sanctification one.
No, I haven't got that one yet.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't think about how I would answer it. $50-50.
Yeah,
No,
I guess
57%
it
now.
only lets me have one active poll at a time, so I have to end the other one before.
Okay. Yeah, this is fun. So we'll just keep that one up for a little bit. We've got 19 people on YouTube, which I guess means we've got 11 people on Facebook. Oh, they've moved on to a clergy election.
This must be for. Ooh, you say Communications Commission? That's the next one.
Ballot.
It'll show on the thing in a second. Chris Akers says the technical problems with voting all worked out. Thank God. It's a conferences commission, Jones just said.
Oh, okay. So they skipped the communications one then.
Oh, yeah, that's... I still need a solid answer. Anybody who's on site, would you tell me, have they nixed the communications council commission? Is it out? Is it gone? What time do you want to... I'm not saying I want to right now. I'm enjoying myself. But should we plan on stopping at a certain time if they just decide to power through? What time were they supposed to stop?
They were supposed to have stopped already.
See, I'm thinking they're just going to power through until they get these...
I guess it depends on how far they're planning on going. Surely they're not going to elect all of them. Because the way it's going, they're going to have to get rid of the entire schedule.
See, something that's always been unclear to me is, like, how do they even know who they want to vote for? Like, surely they don't know even half of the names up for any given position.
There's a 100-word bio that was circulated for each person.
How many people even read that? I wonder.
I would expect a lot of people read it if they don't know does it tell them enough to make an informed vote? Probably not. Like, again, most of them were
I'm
like,
gonna look at the bios.
this is where they're from. This is how many kids they're at. This is the name of their husband. This
How many
is
kids they're at?
Yeah, this is their favorite color. Like, it's just not. It's 100 words. There's only so much you can do. I
I'm gonna
appreciate
look it
they
up.
did something.
Okay. Commission and council nominees bios.
It's an
Oh
important.
my gosh. You can't even read it.
Well, you got to zoom in.
74 pages.
Yes. There's a lot.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you got to think there's minimum 10 per one. That's 70 pages right there if they got it on one page.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's demoralizing. Okay, so never mind. All right, I'm going to call this up, make it full screen so everybody can see what it looks like. Y'all see this? Can I zoom in? Yes. All right, so Ryan Beavers was for communications from Florida, Clergy.
Read his bio. What does it say?
Ryan Beavers is the associate pastor at Georgiana Church in Merritt Island, Florida. Over his ministry career, he has served churches in Tennessee and Florida for 18 years. In Ryan's service as a pastor and worship leader, his job duties frequently included digital and print design and production. Ryan has a passion to serve the denomination that is rooted in the historic Orthodox Christian faith, but can still speak a language that our culture understands. Ryan believes that digital and print media and communications in general is a huge part of our cultural language that we must leverage and learn to use well. I actually want to vote for him after that.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it sounded nice. He obviously cares about balance. Here, the first one is Girly Bangunan from the Philippines. I don't know if that's a male or female name. Served over 2 decades at the Philippine Information Agency of the Republic of the Philippines, beginning as a trainee and rising through the ranks. She held key positions, including OIC Division Chief of the Regional Operations Division and Quality Management Representative. Currently, she is Deputy Division Chief, overseeing the agency's quality management system and serving as Vice Chairperson of the Bids and Awards Committee. Beyond PIA, she is an ordained deacon, co-founder of Encounter Church, and president of Life Growth Network, Incorporated, married to marine engineer Oliver Bangunan. They have a 15-year-old son named Gian. Yeah, so...
I mean, there's some important information in there, sure. I just don't... It's not a lot.
No.
But I mean,
well,
I
and
guess
especially
there's-
like with communications, like show me like the coolest thing you made this year. Like, did you generate any content? What is it?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that works for some of them, but it's like what it...
Yeah, that wouldn't work
really-
for the other commissions. Yeah. Doug France says 100 words doesn't even count as a response for school prompts.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, maybe they make it take this long just so everybody can read over all 100, all the 100 word things, and then just like go over and ask them questions if they have questions. Like, you do good work? Yeah, I'm sure they're not doing that. I know they say the size of the front doesn't matter, but if you don't know who they are, you can't tell me. Oh, font, not front. The size of the font doesn't matter, but if you don't know who they are, you can't tell the bigger font isn't an advantage.
Oh, so like on the voting thing, like if they're looking at it on the screen, like some of them with longer names has smaller font.
Oh, yes.
So
yes,
like
yes,
the
yes,
idea
yes.
would be like, okay, this has got a shorter name and it's bigger, and I can clearly see who that is, but I can't see who 17 is, like, or 12 is, like.
Yeah, in this case, Clark Atkins and Jeff Newfield are the easiest ones to see because their first and last names and conference names are short.
Very short, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be a good delegate, you have to read tons of stuff.
Right.
And, like, man, I tried hard. I tried to read all the petitions. Then they send out the conference workbook like 2 days beforehand. and you got to read all that. You got to read all the nominations. You got to read the daily reports.
You better have taken at least 2 weeks of vacation.
I'm thinking you need narcotic help to stay awake and wake up early in the morning, read. And then, you're not even supposed to, that's the cruel thing about conferencing. Like in the beginning, it was about connectionalism and
right.
connecting with the people there. And they're doing that. They're like praying in the hallways and having communion. But that definitely has got to come at the expense of doing a lot of this prep work to make educated decisions.
Probably, yeah, maybe a little bit. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff you can kind of disregard in the material. Like, don't they have speeches or stuff in there that? I guess that's somewhat important. I don't know. You got to be good at keeping all this together in your head too.
All right, so we're taking an election right now, doing elections right now. If you're just now joining us, we've got 30 people with us. I assume it's mostly the same folks who've been with us all along. Every now and again, we talk about heavier stuff. We just got done looking through some of there was a primary document with 100-word descriptions of each candidate, and just talking about how it is that we can faithfully participate in these conferencing sessions and what we expect of our delegates. It's just impossibly high. I sure do appreciate all the people who chose to be delegates, and on top of that, they've had all kinds of technical difficulties with the tech as they've been doing this work. So I'm sure prayers are appreciated. They're tired. They're not mad at each other. They're not turning on each other. They're just tired. Bishop Scott Jones has done a fantastic job presiding in these circumstances. Very patient. He's used humor. They've not used. He's got a good sense of humor. And then they've had worship times just to kind of encourage each other. It's been a good thing, but it's been very taxing. So, did we decide on a hard stop time for us?
Whenever you want to. I don't have a preference.
Okay. Well, so what I highly suspect, most people that I'm sending messages to are actually indisposed right now with this. Like, it sounds really quiet, but I think everybody's working and figuring things out. I'd hope to do another interview. I just don't think it's going to happen. I had a couple people reach out to me at like 9:30 last night, like, I'm finally out of my meeting. You want to talk? And I was like, no, I'm going to bed. So I don't know if interviews are going to work out.
Maybe not live ones, but you can always record them and then throw them on locals.
Sure.
Push people towards that.
Yeah. All right,
so
Ben's
I
back
think
with
they've
us
closed this. Yeah, they've closed this one. So they're voting for the clergy on the conferences commission. I don't know what the threshold was, how many votes each one of them had to get.
When you look at these names enough, you start seeing ones that you've seen several times before. I only see a couple. Clark Atkins, he got up and he spoke earlier today, but I don't remember what about.
Yeah.
Have you checked on that thing that we put up on
the
YouTube?
poll? I just ended it. We got 10 votes and it's 50-50.
That's fun. Okay. All right. We'll put up the next one that we had, and then we'll give that 10 minutes for results.
Have you ever heard of entire sanctification from the pulpit?
Yes. A yes or no question. Or say entire sanctification and or Christian perfection. It's the same thing. Oh, Ben Dennison said, add me to the weak leadership option to break the tie. So Jennifer Groff says it should be around 160 people to break 50%.
Okay, so they have to clear 160 in order to get voted in? Because there's only one person on this vote. Well, minus the online votes, so it could be a couple of them, actually.
Well, Kevin Ryu got 165.
Oh, okay, 2. Yeah, I guess it doesn't really put him in. It doesn't.
I think he's the president pro tempore of the Korean American Conference.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'm going to look at the calendar for tomorrow.
Okay. New poll is up. Yes or no? Because I should have limited it to your specific church, not some other church that you've gone to. Oh, well.
For people on the live stream, you know what we want. Only your church. Are you in a church where entire sanctification? You better fill that out and say yes.
Oh, you've already got one now.
I'm talking to you.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, they elected 6 all at once. Really? They're announcing tallies. So this is the agenda for tomorrow.
Okay, so they needed 117 to pass the threshold.
Really?
Yeah. And they've got 16 people on there, so I don't know if that makes a difference.
Huh. So at 9 a.m. tomorrow, that's when things get started again. They're going to have the opening stuff. I'm trying to look and see if there's anything special planned for tomorrow. It all looks pretty...
9 whose time?
Our time. It's 8 o'clock their time when they get started, first plenary. But then they don't say, like, I'm going to listen. There's a Filipina lady got up. She's noticing that the candidates are being renumbered. He said there were 2 number 7s up there, but the vote totals are accurate.
Oh, right, yeah. It goes 6.
Look at that. Yeah,
7,
there's 2
7.
number 7s. Well, I don't understand the voting method. That would freak me out. So what happens if you vote for number 7? They added the online votes and put Elizabeth Sullivan in the number 6 place. There were 7 people who cleared the margin, but they could only take 6. So Jones just decided it was the top 6. Tim, the answer to that question would be no. Joe, you can come in. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Battle table stuff.
Yeah. I'll mute
Watching the General Conference. Headphones down there. You can listen to
Our
it.
buddy Joe came into the studio. He's in our men's group and good friend at this point. So,
At this point,
well, it's been how many years since we known each other? 8?
7.
7?
No, I'll say. So we moved back.
Oh, I got to
6
plug
years
his
ago.
microphone back in.
You did unplug it.
My daughter.
Yeah.
Well, that's how we first kind of got to know each other. Like
So they're voting on the laity for the conferences commission now.
November
They
2017.
just finished with the clergy.
No, it was 2016, and then I moved the year after. Oh, Shai's asking where I'm at. She might be ready to go.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, I'll say 8.
8 years.
Yeah.
She can come in here too if she wants to hang out. But if y'all got to go, you can go.
So how long have you guys been in here?
We've been in here off and on all day, starting at 9. So, here, sit down. Unless you have to go.
I say she can come in here if she wants to.
Yeah. Hey, we've got a
Turn the
screen.
camera on.
Oh, turn that camera on.
She seems like the emojis of.
Doug says, I'm planning on using my notes from Free to Be Holy by Matt O'Reilly in my message at the end of October for church. Yeah, I've wondered, Doug, if you're preaching much. Yeah, Free to Be Holy is a new book out by Matt O'Reilly. He's the one I interviewed for Understanding the TLC Episcopal Plan. This is my buddy Joe right here. He was wearing our old church shirt before we left the UMC. It was such a good shirt, though. Like,
Oh, I
hate to
like
take it out of circulation.
Right? Fits me good.
I'm not hearing him well through that microphone. Is it on?
Can you hear
I
me?
just unmuted him.
Oh, you just now unmuted him. Yeah, you got to be kind of close to here. I'll put it. No, I can't reach across. But yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So you see the backpack. That's what we wear at this stage of life when we have little babies.
Mm-hmm. Little girl babies.
Yeah, diaper stuff. So and then Joe has another one on the way.
Yep.
Due
January.
January. That's right. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh,
Yeah.
little boy.
Yep.
So we're gonna have our little kids run around this place together.
Mm-hmm. Him, Gabby, Josiah, growing up together,
Yeah,
so close in age.
yeah. They worship together in the mornings, some mornings, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a good thing. Yeah, if you look at the screen at the top there, it's showing the tally here. We were just telling Joe it's not very exciting, but it's all this that we got 9 names here, and then they're out of those choosing 6, and they have to reach a certain threshold in order to be considered for it.
Okay. And is it for bishops or for
No,
clergy
this is
board?
for a general commission. They're calling it a connectional commission, but it's those groups that govern on behalf of the general conference in between sessions.
Okay.
Do you recall what the conference's commission actually does?
I think they're the ones that decide like how we're going to divide or what the boundaries are going to be, or
watching this.
like
Do you want to go?
when new ones join up, what they're going to do. So
Okay.
there are a lot of kids in there. You got to get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Abigail decided to cough in her face, so if she gets sick,
Oh no.
we'll know the culprit. Well, I don't know, because Susanna said that she's had a cough for like a month.
Mhm.
Like her cough.
Yeah, they've all had. So the people can hear. Children who are not exposed to peanut butter growing up are much more likely to have a peanut butter allergy later in life.
I've already exposed her to it.
But I'm just saying that's how it is with germs. The more germs you're exposed to early on, the more you know how to process them later on. But if you try and keep them away from germs, then later on they have all kinds of immunocompromised issues. So I'm not a big vaccination person, because those aren't like real germs that they're going to run into in the world. But just letting them be out and about, experiencing stuff, that's good for them. Encountering germs in the world, that's good. And they'll get sick from time to time. That's not a failure. That's a success. And then watch their, hey, baby girl. Hey. Yeah, watch her conquer different diseases and take pride in her having a buff immune system.
Yeah, I think part of my problem is just, I see the worst of it at the hospital.
Yeah, well, and generally you're seeing immunocompromised children, not healthy ones like this one. Hey, how are you doing?
She put me through the ringer today.
We have our days.
Like, I don't know if your kids were like this ever at one point, like at her age.
Oh, she says she's ready to get away from me.
Clinging to mom. That's her today. Like, I put her down to go do whatever I need to do, and she would just scream and cry.
Yeah, we have good days, we have bad days. Yeah. You can't perfectly arrange it. You can't manipulate it.
And also, she's starting to also have shorter naps, too, so.
Yeah. Well, that'll change, too. She'll go through a stage where all of a sudden she needs lots of naps. So be ready. Because she needs to get as much sleep. Don't try and regulate this sleep. Well, I mean, like, make sure they get as much as possible.
Okay.
Because we try to lay her down between like 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then she got us up at 3 o'clock this morning for our bottle.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, while you're here, we're doing a poll. Has your pastor from the pulpit ever preached on entire sanctification / Christian perfection?
Yeah.
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 So we can add one more tally since Joe's participating in the poll. Oh, 2 more. Yeah, Cheyenne counts. Might as well put Gabrielle in here.
She made a noise sound like a yeah.
Remember, I'm a member now. I can vote on things like this.
Yeah.
You know who I saw on the way here? I don't know if you noticed it, but Whitney Smalley.
Yeah, she was helping out here.
Okay. Yeah. Is she just bouncing back and forth?
We're live streaming, by the way. So she's a part of.
Bountiful table still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they elected some people. Let's figure this out and then talk about the poll, and then let's go ahead and
Well, I just put up another poll, but this is the.
Well, how did the last poll go?
It doesn't tell me. It just tells me percentages of 12 votes. So 66% yes, 33% no.
Really, 66% had heard about entire sanctification from the pulpit.
Yes.
Seems like more people listen to you than you think.
Oh, it ain't me.
This is just in general for
Other
Methodist churches.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
just in general. Okay, I thought it was just.
We got 24 people with us now, and of those, 12 answered and said that 66 of those 12 had answered. So what's the new question then?
Traditional or contemporary worship? Like hymns or like newer.
Or like rock band, fog music.
Well, not necessarily rock band, but
There's only one contemporary follower on here. Was it you?
it wasn't me. I have not voted in any of these.
Okay.
Traditional.
Is contemporary like life church?
Yeah.
Well,
rock
okay,
band
so like
stuff.
Bethel or Hillsong or
Yeah,
like not necessarily those because those are like
stuff like that. Like we had a contemporary service and traditional here at one point when Jim Perkin was pastor.
okay. They finished the laity vote.
Catherine Chittenden. Oh, she's in our conference. I don't know her.
We are getting closer to crawling, army crawling
Yeah,
now.
she crawled, I guess, like what, from here to Jeffrey maybe?
Probably about from right here to you. She army crawled.
As long as she's not rolling no more.
She's still rolling.
TJ, are you ready to wrap this thing up?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
We'll see. I don't imagine they're going to take many more votes. If
Yeah.
it's taking as long as it is.
Yeah, it's been fun hanging out with y'all for a bit. I mean, like I said, we do this stuff because we'd be doing it anyway, so we just turn on some cameras and we've done what we've done. We've been happy to include you guys in it. I hope it's helpful for you. I'd like to think tomorrow's going to be more interesting, but if they don't conclude elections, then they might be doing it again
so
tomorrow.
they only voted on 2 of the councils of the 2 of the 7. So they got, if they do any more tonight, I mean, there's potentially 4.
They're probably going to power through.
I don't know.
Who knows? I don't know why I'm talking like I know what they're doing.
We'll see. Yeah, as long as it's taken. I imagine at least the morning stuff will be taken up by this. So we'll see what they do in the afternoon.
Okay. Well, we're going to be here in the morning anyway, getting stuff ready. So if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. We'll be thinking, if you got ideas for good questions, then you can email them to me at plainspokenpod@gmail.com. Not the, what are we calling them? The responsive ones where they can click the queries.
Polls?
The polls. If you have poll questions that you would like us to consider, you can email me at plainspokenpod@gmail.com. And then...
Jennifer's the one that's said contemporary.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I knew that about Jennifer. And that's just fine. I was just, here, let's see where the poll is at before we call this thing to a
Only
close.
6 votes, 83. to
Really?
17.
Only 6?
Yeah. People are checking out.
Cowards. Well, no, they are checking out. We're down to 21, so.
Yeah.
And then the live stream, 175 for the GMC, so. That's impressive, though. They got 175 people watching this. All right. Well, I've said everything I've got to say. You got anything else to say, man?
I'm just trying to listen to Bishop Jones.
Well, let's go
Sounds
ahead
like
and
he's
cut it
wrapping
off.
it up. Anyways.
Yeah. All right. God bless you guys. God bless the GMC. We'll be back at it tomorrow. If you know of anybody on site who wants to talk to me, let's hook it up.